What's up, guys? Let's look at writing linear inequalities from a verbal description. This is not unlike writing linear equations from verbal descriptions. We're going to look at actually only in standard form, so it might be a little bit easier. The only difference is that instead of having an equal sign, since we're dealing with inequalities, we're going to write an inequality symbol instead of that equal sign. So like one of those four symbols right there. So our goal, our learning target, is that we can write a linear inequality from that verbal description. So we should be able to read a problem, identify the important information, those key kind of words and phrases, and then be able to write the expression, determine which side of the expression is greater and which side is less, and then write that inequality. So since we're dealing with standard form, we're going to be dealing still with two rates and then a total amount, except for this time, that total amount is going to be either a no more or greater than, right? It's going to be a kind of range that you deal with instead of a this is the total amount. So then after we write expressions to represent each side of my equal sign, right, or what would be my equal sign, and I determined which side should be greater and which one is less, then I can write that inequality. And so some of the key words that for inequality and for determining which symbol we want to pick are highlighted for you in this little keywords for inequalities. So we see that for the greater than symbol, this first one right here, okay, some keywords that you might see in a verbal description would be is more than, is greater than, is larger than, or above, okay, if you see that. If it is greater than or equal to, you might see it saying minimum. So they need to make a minimum this much money, right? Or that would be kind of an example. Like at minimum, we need to make $450. Well, that means that the stuff we're making needs to be greater than or equal to that $450. Or at least is not less than or not smaller than. For less than is smaller than, is less than, and below. And then for less than or equal to, the maximum, at most, not more than, is not greater than. So for that one, it would be like, we need to, at the most, or maximum amount of money we can spend is $450, or whatever it is. Say you're going to the movies and buying popcorn and candy, and you want to know how much you can buy of each, right? Popcorn's $10, candy is $8. That's funny. That's one of the examples. And you have at least $10 or only $25 to spend. That's the at most you can spend. So you would use that less than or equal to symbol. So those kind of are the key phrases that you want to look for to help you determine which symbol you need to write for your inequality. Okay. And then the other important information is just like pulling for learning for linear equations, where we're looking for the two different variables, the rates, and then that total amount, which in this case won't be necessarily the total, but it'll be for one of those symbols. So let's look at some examples. So number one over here says, Cheyenne has two ways to buy music. She can download a whole album for $10, or she can purchase individual songs for $2. If she can spend no more than $150 on music, write an algebraic sentence, aka an inequality, to represent the situation when she buys albums A and then songs S. So it gives us our letters to use, our variables to use. Let's first write down this important information. So as I was reading it, I'm looking at she can download a whole album for $10, or she can do individual songs for $2. And she can spend no more than $150. So that no more than $150 is telling us what symbol, okay? That no more than is telling us what symbol. This would be my total amount. Right, so my important information, I know that album, which is A, so I'm just going to write A is $10 for just an individual song. It's $2. No more than, okay, which is going to tell me something about what symbol I need, and then my total, so I'm going to say that's my C value in my AX plus BY equals C is 150. So to write my inequality, I'm just going to start by writing my left side and then my right side, my two expressions. Since I'm dealing with album and songs instead of X and Y, I'm going to write 10A plus 2S. That is like my AX plus BY, and then my C will be over here. Remember, A is your rate, which is why it's 10, and then B is your other rate, which is the 2, and then I used my two variables. That total is going to be 150. Now, which one needs to be greater? Well, it says that she can spend no more than $150. Okay, well, what's another way to think of no more? At most. When I think, and when I go back to look, which one is the same as no more than? She can spend no more than that $150. So that means that whatever she spends on the albums and songs must be smaller than that $150. Okay, so this value needs to be bigger. Okay, and she can't spend more than that. But can she spend equal to that? I say yes. Right? She just can't spend more than it. So she can spend $150, she just can't spend more than that. So this tells me now that $10 times the number of albums plus $2 times the number of songs can be less than or equal to that $150 total. Right? So that was this one over here. Not more than is what we used. Okay, so this is going to be a great key for you to come back to and look at when you are learning how to do it, but you can also kind of just work through it, see if you can rephrase it in a different way. No more than, so at most she could spend $150. Francine is selling homemade hats and scarves. She sells hats for $10 and scarves for $8. She wants to make more than $114 worth of sales. So we wanted to write another algebraic sentence to represent this situation for hats and scarves. All right, so I have my two variables, H and S. That rate for my hats is going to be $10, and that rate for my scarves is $8. Okay, she wants to make more than that C amount, which is $114. First thing we want to do is write our inequality in AX plus BY equals C form. So I'm going to have 10 times number of hats plus 8 times the number of scarves. And then over here, I have my 114. Now, I want to she wants to make more than $114. If I go back to my little table, she wants to make more than, I see it's this one right here. She wants to make more than $114, right? She doesn't want to make $114. She wants to make more than that. So whatever the hats and scarves that she sells, we want that total to be greater than 114. So my left side, my left expression is going to be bigger, and that is how I knew to draw my sign facing that way. All right. This one might take a little bit more practice as you look at, identifying those key words that are going to tell us which symbol we need to do or use. Okay. Take a look back at your key words for inequalities, right? As you go through some practice problems, start identifying, seeing what makes sense to you, right? And it's going to make sense for the problem. You should be able to visualize it and then maybe repeat it after to yourself, okay? $10 times the number of hats plus $8 times the number of scarves. She wants to make more than $114, right? It says that. So which number do we want to have bigger? Right? Because that's the amount of everything she makes. That's the amount of everything she makes. We want it to be more than $114. Okay, so you can kind of process that to kind of help yourself. All right? Let your teacher know if you have any questions, and good luck with your practice.